new fasting schedule and a new meal plan and a little bit of an exercise program. We're going to keep it incredibly simple today. I want to map out just a simple program that everyone can follow. This is what I'm going to do for the next few weeks, but I'll talk about it in great detail. Let's see, we got all. Thanks for showing up. Just makes sense to check glucose and ketones. Also, maybe we had a little talk in the chat. And once again, I'm using my phone just to check some of these messages. I'm not getting every single one in the YouTube feed, but we'll see how that goes. I think Robert's here, which is really nice. Thanks, Rob, for showing up. Once again, Miller. Oh, we get all the regulars here. This is great. This is great. Good morning. Iris is here. Thanks. Oh, Germany. Fantastic. Once again, whenever you leave a comment, I'd love to know where you're from. It's so exciting that people come from all over the world for this live stream. I really appreciate it. We got Juicy. Hey, how you doing? Doing good? Oh, thanks. I really appreciate it. Thanks for showing up. And we got Michael's here too. Okay, great. Hey, so let's jump right into this. Once again, any questions, let me know. And just like I normally do, at the end of the live stream, I'm going to show you a bunch of meals, how I've been eating lately. But I really wanted to give everyone like a really simple program to follow. Okay, well, just one note, Mike. Every Sunday and Monday, I'll be fasting. Haha. I find fasting on Sunday and Monday more motivating than starting on Monday. No, that sounds good. I like that. Let's see who else we got. Oh, Pamela. Thanks, Pamela. Oh, from London. That's great. Thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it. And we got Jeff here too. Going to be 107 degrees in Texas today. Oh my goodness, unreal. It's been really hot in New York today as well. It's been like, 90, 91, 92. We definitely got a nice summer going on in New York. I like the hot weather, so I don't really mind it. All right, so let's jump into this thing. We're going to go over a new fasting schedule, meal plan, and exercise program. And I just want to map out like what the goal is going to be, at least for myself, if you want to follow along with me. I found like this summer so far, I've been a little bit all over the place, with my fasting. I've been eating pretty good, but a little bit all over the place with my fasting schedule and with my with my workout. So I'm going to really simplify it for the rest of the summer. If you've been following me, some of my live streams I did, a few months ago, I kind of made a little bit of an error. I pushed too hard in the gym. I tried to put on a little bit of muscle, went into a positive energy balance. A positive energy balance just means that I'm eating more calories than maintenance. Tried to put on some muscle, but in the effort of doing that, I kind of banged myself up. I kind of aggravated my elbows a little bit, my knees. So I'm going to kind of like kick it back now for the rest of the summer. Kind of relax, kind of enjoy the summer. I think I'm going to view this presentation as more like a maintenance mode, but you can actually use it as a calorie deficit, and you can actually lower your body fat, and you can get in amazing shape and feel good. This is going to be like an active lifestyle presentation, incorporating, a new fasting schedule, a new meal plan, unless you've been eating like this already, and like a real simple, really simple exercise program. So let's see how it goes. It's freezing here today in Germany. Wow, that's interesting. Cool. Okay, so let's go fasting, meal plan, exercise program, and then we'll do the Q&A. So let's go over this really simple fasting schedule. And I find that whenever I get like a little mixed up with my fasting schedule, I always resort back to this. And this is by far my favorite long-term fasting schedule. I like it so much because you can be in a calorie deficit. If you want to count calories, if you want to track everything with like MyFitnessPal or Chronomino, one of the apps I like a lot, you can either be at maintenance calories where you're not losing or gaining. You can be in a calorie deficit if you want to lower your body fat, or you can go into a positive energy balance if you want to say put on muscle, even gain some weight. And you can do that with this fasting schedule. I'm going to use this fasting schedule pretty much as maintenance for the rest of the summer because I want to enjoy myself. I was going to try to get to very low body fat levels for my 60th birthday, but I decided I think I'm going to shoot for that more maybe October, November, because I really want to enjoy the rest of the summer. So I'm going to do a time-restricted eating fasting schedule. And I talk about this every single week. The difference between intermittent fasting and time-restricted eating is when you do one of these fasting strategies, like an 18-6, which I'm going to be doing, or a 16-8, you fast for 16 hours, taking all your calories in an 8-hour eating window. If you do that every single day, I would call that time-restricted eating or time-restricted feeding. If you do it intermittently, like say you do it once, twice, 3 times a week, that would be intermittent fasting because the term intermittent is in the beginning of intermittent fasting. It just makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to follow a time-restricted eating strategy, and I'm going to skip breakfast. Even though I've talked about this in great detail, there is a lot of new research coming out now that say that it might be better to take in some protein earlier in the day if your main concern is to maintain muscle mass or even put on muscle, but it does not work in my schedule. And there are other studies that say that you'll get just as much benefit whether you skip breakfast or skip dinner. So I'm going to stick with my normal skipping breakfast. We got a quick couple of questions. Let me look at this. Okay. I'm scared if intense cardio while fasting is going to reduce muscle mass, as I've heard that high intensity burns of glycogen, and that makes the body break down muscle for the glycogen supplement. You know, it's really, really hard to say. When you're talking hard, okay, if you don't know what glycogen is, if you're watching this, glycogen just means that when you eat carbohydrates, whatever carbohydrates you don't burn up right then, like during the meal, you're going to store those excess carbohydrates in the form of glycogen in your muscles and your liver. But you see, is saying that he's concerned that if he does this really, really hard cardio all the time in a fasted state, will he dip into burning muscle? You know, it's really, I wouldn't be too concerned about that unless you're eating like almost no carbohydrates and you're just overdoing it in general. As long as you're taking enough calories during your eating window, whether you're giving yourself a 6 or an 8 hour eating window, you're taking enough protein, vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and some carbohydrates, even though I'm a low carb eater, I don't think that's going to be an issue. It can be if you just go crazy with it, like you're doing just super hard workouts all the time and not taking in enough calories, but it depends on what your goals are. Like you're looking at the lower body fat, you're looking to put on muscle, you're looking at maintenance, you know, so it's a reasonable question, but kind of hard to give you like a definitive answer. But I wouldn't worry about it as long as you're taking in enough good nutrition while you are eating. Okay, okay, we got another question here. What is the best way to prepare yourself for a 7-day water fast? What vitamins do you suggest besides electrolytes? You know, I think it's going to be more of a psychological challenge more than anything for a 7-day water fast. I've never done one. I've never fasted for 7 days. The longest I've ever fasted was 3 days. And I talked about it before, the live stream on it. The last day was somewhat challenging. I would just make sure you're taking in good nutrition, you know, for a week ahead of time. You know, there's nothing you can do, but definitely after 3 or 4 days, I would definitely start taking in the electrolytes, taking in the, sodium and that red mint salt. But if you want to do a 7-day fast, I would go, that's not really my specialty, the extended fasting. I really like these shorter term fasts, like the 16-8, the 18-6, the 20-hour fast, the 36-hour fast, every now and then a 48 to 72-hour fast. I would go to Dr. Jason Fung's Facebook group, ask some questions there on these extended fasts, because you don't want to get caught. I think anyone can reasonably do a 2 to 3 day fast, pretty much. Definitely if you're healthy. Once you start getting beyond 3 days, 7 days, that's pretty aggressive. You may want to check with the doctor. You may want to check with someone like Dr. Jason Fung or one of these people who specialize in these extended fasts. Let's see what Michael's got. Been doing 24. So if people don't know what 24 means, that Mike's been fasting for 20 hours, and then he's been taking in all his calories within a 4-hour eating window. So pretty aggressive for a while now, but having done 18-6 in the past for a while, I'm thinking about going back to 18-6. I have just found that is a bit of a sweet spot from time restricted feeding. That's exactly how I feel, Michael. See, I find that when you do something like a 24, I like that strategy. But in my opinion, you're really going to be in somewhat of an aggressive calorie deficit. So I would think I think you can do it, if you want to be at maintenance, but you really have to take in a lot of calories within a 4-hour eating window. So when I do like 24, I would use that as like a calorie cycling strategy where maybe I'm doing 16-8, maybe I'm doing 18-6, and then I want a low calorie day. And 24 is doing that. Or maybe that would, in my opinion, that could almost be a little bit of an OMAD diet with one extra small meal. You have one big meal and then you have one small meal prioritizing protein. But it's really hard with only 4 hours to really get all your vitamins and minerals, nutrients, an adequate amount of protein long term. Like if you're going to do that for like weeks on end. I agree. I think in 18-6 though, with those 2 extra hours, you can truly get 2 quality meals in, right? Get enough protein in. And how I'm going to do it, like I'm talking about today, I'm going to do an 18-6, but I'm also going to add a protein shake because I always like to prioritize protein. We're going to talk about that more a little bit in the meal plan, but I think it's so important. And my formula, I talk about it all the time, 0.9 grams of protein per pound of lean body weight. And I give the same example over again. If you're 150 pounds, let's say you're 20% body fat on average, so you got 120 pounds of lean mass, times that by 0.9. that gives you 108 grams of protein, right? And sometimes it's hard to determine exactly what your body fat is. I think you can go 0.9 times your body weight, as long as you're not really overweight. Like if you're 300 pounds and you want to weigh 200, 300 grams of protein is pretty excessive. You can use your goal weight if you're really, like if you have more than 30, 40 pounds of weight to lose, go with your goal weight. It's going to be a little bit more realistic with that. Let's see what we got here. To get my calories, yeah, I definitely agree, Mike. Okay. Will a diet soda break a fast? In other words, 1 to 3 calories? I don't think so. The negative things about diet soda is that a lot of people find it makes them hungry. And the reason why a diet soda can potentially make you hungry is that, your body will sense the sweetness, even though there's like next to no calories. Even with stevia or monk fruit, if you're using one of those natural sweeteners. So you might get a little bit of a spike in insulin. And then what the insulin is going to do is going to lower blood sugar. But the fact that you have no calories within the meal, like if you're just drinking a diet soda by itself, some people get really hungry. It makes me a little hungry. I don't really like the taste of diet soda anyway, but it does make me a little hungry. But if you're having a diet soda, like when you're eating something, there's going to be calories there, so you may not get hungry. But to drink diet soda, separately may not be a great idea. I find that people do it if you're doing it for the caffeine, like instead of drinking coffee, you just want that little pick-me-up from like almost a no-calorie like diet soda with caffeine. It's a little different. The caffeine could suppress your appetite, so it gets a little confusing. That's something you can experiment with. I don't think it's necessarily really a bad thing. If I think it's more important to keep the calories down and experiment with these fasting, I guess. Yes, already listed Jason Fun. Oh, that's good. Yeah, no, I will. I think that those 7-day fasts are pretty aggressive. I would love that. I'd love for you to document it for me. I'd love to know how it goes for you, how you feel. Keep a little journal every day, how you're feeling. It'd be really interesting. I'd love to hear about it. Okay. I tend to eat more on Friday, Saturday, so Sunday is perfect for fasting. But no, I agree. I like that. Last week did a 2-day fast and lost 4 pounds. Cool. Yeah, I know you're talking about that 48-hour fast. That's great. Excellent. Okay, so this is going to be the general schedule. So we're going to do time-restricted eating. We're going to do it every single day. And this is I think this is something you can do long-term somewhat indefinitely. Like I said, you can either count your calories and keep track of everything, be in a deficit if you want to lose body fat. You can easily be in maintenance, and you can even be in a positive energy balance, eating 2 meals a day, right, within a 6-hour eating window. And I like to take in enough protein. So for me, I take in about 150 grams of protein a day. So for me to have, like, the general rule is every 4 ounces of chicken, fish, and meat is about 25 grams. Sometimes I don't feel like eating 3/4 of a pound of, like, fish for lunch. Maybe I only want to take in 8 ounces. Maybe I'll get 50 grams of protein there. So I like to add a protein shake or protein bar. And I'll show you the ones. I even have some, we'll talk about it at the end. I brought some of my favorite protein powders if you guys and gals, you want to see exactly what I'm eating. And, it makes sure I get enough protein. So I think 2 meals a day with a protein shake, I think is ideal. And then I'll break down exactly like the type of foods I'm talking about, in some of the next slides. And then I'm going to I think staying well hydrated is so important. That general rule is drink half your weight in ounces of water every single day for proper hydration. So if you're 150 pounds, 75 ounces of water. But it's also important to take in those electrolytes. You may want to put in a pinch of that red minerals, the red Mond, that Utah salt that's high in minerals. You may want to drink Pellegrino water like we always talk about. I love the Pellegrino water, even with a slice of lemon, a slice of lime, slice of cucumber. You could even throw a little bit of apple cider vinegar, a teaspoon, balsamic vinegar in there. It increases the electrolytes, makes it a little more enjoyable, but staying properly hydrated. So this is a real simple fasting, schedule to go by. And if you want to be a little bit less aggressive, you're kind of new, you can go 16-8 as well. 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating window. But let's see what we got here. Yes, the most I did was 5 days. Oh, that's pretty impressive. 5 days is impressive too. Oh, that's great. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Cool. Jesse, thanks. Thoughts on drinking a glass of wine during the eating window? I think it's fine. I drink a glass of wine all the time. Last night, Saturday night, I drank a little wine Saturday night. I mean, I do find though that when people ask me, "Oh, Mike, will a glass of wine break my fast?" It will if you're doing it outside your window. It's not like you can eat dinner stop eating dinner at 8 o'clock and then sip wine until 11 o'clock and then go to sleep. Don't do that. But it seems like you're not doing that. I think a glass of wine during your eating window is fine. What is it? I think probably one glass of wine. If you can really just only have one, it may have more health benefits than not drinking it. The research is a little bit mixed, but if you can truly just have like 5-ounce glass of like red wine, it's probably a good thing with the polyphenols and how do you pronounce it? Resveratrol, right? All those good antioxidants in there. But you can easily overdo it. And alcohol's not good. It goes right to the liver. And it's really the opportunity cost of the alcohol. It goes directly to the liver, so the body wants to like burn up that alcohol before it's burning any carbs or fat. So especially if you're drinking a lot of wine with food, you're going to store away those excess calories as body fat and glycogen, and you're going to burn up the alcohol first. That's the worst thing about drinking, is the opportunity cost. Plus, it is taxing on the liver. We all know that. Let's see. What's your opinion on ostrich egg? Ostrich egg? I'm not familiar with it. What is that? Is that an ostrich? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. 2,000 calories, 176 to 250 grams of protein. Crazy. 2,000 calories. I mean, it depends how big you are. That's a lot. That's a lot of protein. I mean, I'm not concerned about too much protein like affecting your kidneys unless you're going crazy. If your blood work comes back and it's showing that you're stressing your kidneys from eating an insane amount of protein, but that's not so crazy. Like Ted Needleman, the doctor wrote that book. I love the book, The PE Diet. I think he's like 170 something. He takes like 200 grams of protein a day. All these carnivore guys like Paul Saladino, Sean Baker, they take in 200-300 grams of protein a day, and they seem to be fine. So, but I think I like that 0.9 grams per pound of lean body weight, somewhere around there. I think it's almost like the sweet spot, for protein. Okay, I drink Pellegrino and snake. Ooh, the snake juice. Yeah, snake. People don't know what snake juice is. I forget the guy's name, but he has like a pretty popular YouTube channel. He has snake juice. He's into fasting and low carb eating and all that. And he has like a supplement, like a powder. That's kind of like an electrolyte powder, which is on a 7-day fast, probably a good thing to check out. Let's see. Oh, Gene, hey, Gene, thanks for showing up. Thanks again, Gene, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Every Sunday, Gene always gives me a little bit of money for doing these presentations. I really appreciate it. Okay. I have tried eating 2 hard-boiled eggs alongside my protein shake for my breakfast this week, and it's great. Keeps me full. I like that a lot. So you're getting like an egg, it's maybe 6-7 grams of protein, but you're getting all the vitamins and minerals. You're getting a little bit of fat from the yolk. So say you're doing 1 scoop of like a whey protein or something like I have here. You get 25 grams there, an additional 12 to 14 grams with the egg. Plus the egg, sometimes, people, you need to almost like chew and swallow something besides just drinking a shake, to be satisfied from it. Plus, you're getting some of those, I think, healthy fats, a lot of vitamin B, a lot of good stuff in an egg. I love it. I think that's great, Gene. I've personally done that myself. I've done that all the time, too. There are times, even, too, when I'm, trying all these different fasting strategies. I talked about the essential amino acids, like taking those in even when you're in the fasted period because they're so low in calories, it gives you a little protein. But I've also experimented with just eating 2 hard-boiled eggs. It's going to break your fast a little bit, but not much. What's 2 hard-boiled eggs? 100 and somewhat calories, getting 12 grams of protein, a little fat. You're not going to really get the insulin spike. So it also depends on how you define fasting. Some people would define fasting as just getting that spike in insulin, like a big spike in blood sugar. If you took in a protein and a fat, like 2 hard-boiled eggs, you're not going to get too much of an insulin spike. You will get a little bit, but not much. So you're going to like temporarily break your fast. It may mess up mTOR, it may stimulate mTOR. So if you're fasting for autophagy, like your main goal is autophagy, like that cell cleansing regeneration, yes, some protein in eggs is gonna mess that up a little bit, or downregulate it, look like that, not mess it up. But sometimes I don't mind that. I like that 2 hard-boiled egg trick a lot. I wouldn't call it a trick, just a good thing to do. Hey, Pamela, thanks for showing up. Okay, Mike, how can I take in more protein for weight loss on a vegetarian diet? I don't eat or drink milk, eggs, meat, or fish. Any advice you can provide would be helpful. Yeah, Pam, definitely I would start taking a plant-based protein powder. Like this is, we're going to talk about it more later, but this is one of my favorite ones. Let me change camera angle, like if you get like a better picture of this. This is Garden of Life. It's a plant-based protein powder. It's a combination of like pea, hemp seed, and some like beans, even protein. I'll break it down in detail. It's a complete protein. I would definitely do that. Like I've been I got one guy who started with me. I think it's 2 years ago at my gym. He's a vegan. He was eating like nowhere near enough protein, and he hits the hemp seed and the pea protein all the time. I mean, the difference is dramatic. He's doing so much better. That's the hardest thing when you're a vegetarian. You know, my brother's a vegetarian. One of my best buddies, Bill, I saw him last night. He's a vegetarian too, and I really recommend some type of plant-based protein powder. Like for example, this one, 2 scoops will give you 30 grams of protein, 180 calories, all complete protein, and it's even high in those important amino acids like the branched chain amino acids which maintain muscle mass, like leucine, isoleucine, valine. Those are the most important, I think, for maintaining muscle. So I would definitely recommend that, Pamela. Definitely supplementing your diet with some protein powder for sure. And you said no dairy either, right? Do you eat dairy? Did you say? No. Don't eat or drink milk? Okay. I don't know if you're lactose intolerant, but if you will take in some dairy, even like the Greek yogurts, I love too for vegetarians. If you're not vegans, I guess you can't do it. But I would keep that in mind too. Okay. Let's see, Michael. Get a water distiller, people. You won't regret it. Oh, that sounds pretty good. I like that. Okay. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, but I feel that liquid calories are the worst. 150 calories for a couple of sips of Coke. Yeah, depending. I agree. Like a can of soda. What's that? 8 teaspoons of sugar in a normal can of soda. Pretty rough. Plus, you drink it so quickly. I think with the soda, though, besides the sugar, people are just addicted to the caffeine, too. Tofu, I like that. That's great. Great, Steve. Okay. I love a big salad. Hard-boiled eggs, avocado, fresh mozzarella cheese, green olives, dressing, de jour mustard, olive oil, and balsamic vinegar. Can also add piquant to salad. Love it. You're going to see some of my pics at the end. I've been eating those arugula salads, like, pretty regularly. If not every day, I've been eating them, like, every other day or every third day. I love a nice big salad, for sure. Hey, Jesse, thanks for showing, Jess. This is great. If you take supplements like B complex, probiotics, L-theanine, or magnesium, will it break your fast? Those particular ones, I don't think they will. I mean, there might be the interesting thing about supplements, and I mentioned this in the past too. Cause I was thinking about starting a supplement company. And I did so much research. When something's like an incomplete food, they don't necessarily have to like list the amount of the calories because they're individual ingredients. So it can be a little confusing. Like that's when I talked about those essential amino acids. You can take an essential amino acid supplement because it's not really like a food, like a dairy, like a whey protein. So they can say no calories. Meanwhile, there might be 10, 15 calories. I would say the biggest issue, Jess, is that these I don't think the probiotic will, the L-theanine probably not. The B complex might. I don't think magnesium will. The B complex may upset your stomach. If it's like a synthetic type vitamin. I wouldn't worry about it breaking your fast, in my opinion. That might be like negligible amount of calories in these like really, really low. I wouldn't worry about it. But I would probably go with a whole food. Like I've talked about this before. I like New Chapter because all their vitamins, like the New Chapter, I take the New Chapter Every Man all the time. That's a whole food vitamin, meaning that every single ingredient in it is just like dehydrated fruits and vegetables and some of the grasses like the spirulina and chlorella, like the algae and all that stuff. But it says no calories on there, but there probably could be 2 or 3 calories, in a multivitamin, maybe something like that. But I wouldn't be concerned about that breaking your fast. I don't think it's going to mess you up at all. Let's see. That's great. Oh, no, sure, Pam. Great. What is the most important vitamin? Oh, that's so hard to say. Everything's important, right? I would say just, your essential ones, like your essential amino acids. I don't know if you would call them vitamins. That like there's micro, and macro. Like whatever your body can't make on its own that you have to get through your diet, I think is the most important. So those essential fatty acids, like the omega-3s, the EPAs, and things like that, your body can't make them. You have to get them through your diet. Same thing with those complete proteins, those non-essential amino acids. That's why they use the term essential, because your body can't make them. So to me, that would be the most important thing, is to make sure you're getting in those essential fatty acids and those essential amino acids that your body can't make. That's critical. But you can get away with it for a while, but you go like 6 months, a year, not eating enough complete protein, and you're not going to feel good. Same thing with those essential fats. It's going to throw your whole body off, for sure. Okay. I take Vits with meal. I'm not sure what that is, VIT. Oh, maybe vitamins. Oh, you take the vitamins with the meals. That sounds good. I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. Great idea. Okay, so let's talk about the meal plan a little bit. And I don't have as many slides as I normally do. I'm trying to see if I keep things simple, if people enjoy it more, and we get more interaction. We'll see how it goes. So this is going to be the simple meal plan that I'm going to follow. So like me, I always prioritize protein. Whenever I structure a meal, I'm always thinking protein first. So I want like a lick. I'm saying I want at least 50 grams. I like to stay, me personally, 50 to 75 grams. And I've talked about this in the past too. There is a little bit of a debate. Sometimes I'll show a meal that I'm eating on like Instagram, and I'll say, 75 grams of protein. And I get all the comments saying, oh, Mike, you can't use more than 25, 30 grams of protein per meal. And that's been pretty much disproven. I think your body's smart enough to utilize the proteins and the calories, for hours, and your body will slow down digestion, speed up digestion. So I wouldn't worry about taking in too much protein in one meal unless you're really going crazy. Like, don't go 200 grams of protein because it's just going to be wasted calories. You don't need that many calories. But I generally don't go too much above 75 grams of protein, but I do want to get my 150 grams in today. So I always think protein first. So when I'm structuring a meal, say I'm breaking my fast, I'm having like my lunch, say 1, 2 o'clock, I'm fasting for 18 hours, I'm going to have like a piece of salmon, I'm going to have a piece of steak, I'm going to have a piece of chicken, or I'm going to have, I'm going to have 3 eggs, and then I'm going to have some smoked salmon. I'm going to get my 50 grams of protein, if not more. And even if I have to supplement with a protein bar, or maybe with a protein shake, and even in addition, if like say I'm low on protein in the house that day, I want to prioritize protein. And then the 2 other things I like to do is vegetables and fruits. I've been leaning a little bit more towards fruits this summer, and I have to say it is making me a little bit more hungry. The interesting thing about fruit is that, and everyone talks about fructose, right? Fructose probably is one of the most unhealthy sugars you can eat. And the reason is that fructose doesn't really spike insulin. It goes right to the liver to be processed. And you can overload the liver. You eat too much fructose, it's going to raise your triglycerides, your bad cholesterol. Like, it's definitely going to it can lead to so many metabolic syndrome, all that. But that's more high fructose corn syrup, like in processed foods. And it really depends on where you're coming from. If you did come to me though, and let's say you are insulin resistant, and you got like you're 100 pounds overweight, and you've been, overweight for a decade or more, then I might say, I wouldn't even eat fruit, because you don't even want the fructose from there. But me, myself, since I'm relatively lean, I'm not getting any fructose from pretty much any other sources besides fruit and a couple of other things. I'm not getting in too much fructose. So I can have a piece or 2 of fruit a day. I can have low sugar fruits like berries and strawberries and raspberries and blueberries. Lately, I've been eating a little watermelon because it's so good. Plus, like I talked about, that video I did on TikTok about L-citrulline. See, L-citrulline is a non-essential amino acid that's probably highest in its natural form in watermelon. And then when L-citrulline gets in your system, it helps the body make arginine. And then when arginine is elevated, it increases nitric oxide, which is great for blood flow. That's why they put L-citrulline in a lot of pre-workout supplements. I did a video on this in TikTok. I got 480,000 views. I cannot believe it. So I've been eating a little watermelon lately too. And then when it comes to the vegetables, like I say, rainbow color. If I'm going to have broccoli, then I'm going to pick a different color like squash. I'm going to have like asparagus, I may go red beets. So that's my real formula for eating. But what you notice is what I'm not eating. I'm really not eating grains, because I think they're high in calories and like with minimal nutrition. I'm not eating rice unless it's a resistant starch, which we're going to talk about, where it's refrigerated. I'm not eating too many starches. I'm keeping my calories in check just from the foods that I pick. So most of my calories when I eat probably come from fat, because I'm eating avocados every single day, right? I'm eating whole eggs all the time. I'm getting protein with fat, like we're eating salmon and sardines. So if you broke down my macros, maybe 50% of my calories are coming from fat, not from me adding fat, just from the natural fat found in the proteins and the avocados and the whole eggs and the foods that I'm eating. Plus, I like extra virgin olive oil when I'm sauteing vegetables, or maybe when I'm putting it on my salad, right? So the key is a nice piece of protein, right? 2 different colored vegetables, or maybe 1 vegetable and 1 fruit. Maybe you would do that for lunch for your first meal, but your second meal of the day, maybe you want to go 2 vegetables. And if you want a sweet potato, no big deal. But there is some pretty good research out there saying that if you do want to do like a starch, if you can wait a little bit, like for example, have your fish, or have your fish, have your broccoli, and then when you want to have your sweet potato, if you can even wait just a half hour and then have your sweet potato, you get less of a blood sugar spike, less of an insulin spike. And a lot of people talk about this. Ben Bikman talks about it and why we get sick. I've heard other people do videos on it, and I found a couple studies. One study in particular really shows that there's something to it. That particular study, though, did use orange juice, and that will give you a big spike. But people had the orange juice like 45 minutes after eating a meal, had much less of a spike than people who drank the orange juice before. So keep that in mind. If you're going to have a cheat day, if you want to eat these sweet potatoes and baked potatoes, a little bit of rice, and maybe a little bit of bread, don't do it before the meal. Do it at the end. And even if you can wait a half hour, even better. Even better. So we got a couple of questions. Let's see what we got. Is a 46-hour fast any different from a 48? You mean 2 hours? I wouldn't worry about 2 hours. I wouldn't even think about it. I mean, 2 hours is so hard to say. I think it's a little more relevant when you're doing like a 16-hour to an 18-hour fast, because just think a 6-hour eating window to an 8-hour eating window, you really can take in more food and more calories in an 8-hour eating window as opposed to a 6 or a 24, right? But when you're doing 46 or 48 hours, I don't think it's much of a difference. Just like an OMAD, when you're giving yourself a 1 hour eating window, like a fasting for 23 hours with a 1 hour eating window, or doing a 24-hour fast every other day, it's the same thing. I don't think there's much difference to it at all. I hate how the media doesn't educate children what calories are as well as calorie limit. I think it's better than just saying to eat healthy. No, I agree. I mean, it'd be nice. It's interesting, but the mainstream nutrition will probably hate this intermittent fasting stuff, right? Because they're still kind of schooled with those 3 meals a day. Breakfast is the most important meal, So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to turn people around how they feel. Okay, so like we went into the protein, and I'm into animal protein, but if you're a vegetarian, like we're saying, Pamela, stick to your vegetarian meals. Make sure you're eating complete protein. You can do a shake in addition to your first meal of the day just to make sure you're getting that protein in. But my sources, since I do eat animal protein, obviously, fish, poultry, red meat. I still go lean, though. I don't do like the fatty ribs or the briskets and things like that. I keep my calories under control. I go lean cuts of meat. I love filet mignon. I love leaner steaks. I do eat the whole eggs. If I'm doing dairy, I love the Greek yogurts, 15 grams of protein for like 90 calories. I go zero fat because I may add things to the Greek yogurt. Like if I want to put fat in the dairy, I'll do a scoop of flaxseed, ground flaxseed, high in those omega-3s, a little bit of fiber, add some nutty taste. I do things like that. Every now and then I might go with like a 2% or 5% fat yogurt. It tastes great. But generally I'm keeping an eye on calories. So if I want to add the fat, I'll add the fat with some flaxseed. Like I said, protein shake, protein bar. The shakes that I like I talked about, let's talk about this a little bit now. I would say the rock star of protein shakes is a whey protein. And the main reason is, let me change camera angle so you really can see this well. I see the branched chain amino acids. This has 6 grams of branched chain amino acids, 24 grams of protein. 1 scoop is 120 calories. And what I mean by branched chain amino acids is the branched chain amino acids are 3 of the 9 essential amino acids. So it's leucine, isoleucine, and valine. And most of the research has shown that leucine is probably the most important essential amino acid for building and maintaining muscle mass. So a whey protein probably has the highest natural combination. We're not combining the proteins of those branched chain amino acids. That's why I like it. Plus, tastes great. I like an isolate. That's why I go with this particular brand. Isolate meaning that everything's stripped out of it. You're not getting really the carbohydrates. If you're lactose intolerant like I am, I don't have any issue with it. You're not really getting the fat. They flavor the whey protein really well. This is chocolate. I have chocolate and vanilla both. Why I like this brand so much, this is the Garden of Life. I'll show you another thing. I should show you this before. See, it says on here, it says truly grass-fed. When you see that green symbol there, let me show you guys can really see it. See that truly grass-fed? That means this dairy has been sourced from Ireland. And Ireland is probably one of the only parts places in the world where they can truly keep the cows outside eating pasture raised all year round. New Zealand's pretty good, certain parts of California, but I think that's the best quality protein powder you can buy. So if you're looking for a whey, I would look for that. What's this? I would look for truly grass-fed. I think it's the best. This one tastes great. I absolutely love it. They also give you a little bit of glutamine, which is another good amino acid for like muscle recovery, And this brand always seems to give you some CFU. CFUs are just like probiotics. They always add you like 2 billion probiotics similar to those green drinks. This is my favorite brand of whey protein. But you can also do, like Pamela said, this is interesting. This is a plant I like this one too. This is a plant protein. But the thing with this is that it's not going to be quite as high. See 5.5 of the branched chain, which is pretty good. But how they did that with this plant-based is that they combined pea protein with a number of different like beans, garbanzo beans. They use a combination of the protein from beans with the pea protein to get those branched chain amino acids up there. Plus, the volume of a plant-based protein is going to be much more, meaning that 2 scoops, and this is, I don't want to make too much of a mess here, but I'm going to show you how big this scoop is. This is a big scoop. See that 2 of these you'd have to do to get the same amount of protein with a similar amino acid profile as just, I'll show you how big this scoop is. As just, oh, this is totally sealed, I can't do it. As just like 1 scoop of the whey. So the whey protein dissipates easier, I think tastes better. The plant protein is a little bit, could be a little bit grainy. I don't mind it, that one tastes pretty good, but the volume of it is much bigger, so keep that in mind. So, you know, if you want to just increase the amount of protein, you can just do that. For sure. Or you can do a protein bar. I like the no-cal protein bars. I'll show you them later on too. I like the Quest protein bars as well. Getting 20-25 grams of protein. Both of those bars, no-cal and Quest, super high in fiber, 15-16 grams of fiber. The net carbs are very low. I think those are great things to do too. And like I said, when it comes to the vegetables, always go with 2 different colors and then go with the low sugar fruits, right? The berries are my first choice, you know, all types of berries. And I just gave you my normal protein formula. I'm eating 150 grams of protein. I'm going to keep an eye on my carbs, about 150 grams, 400 to 600 calories. And I'm going to, this is kind of a maintenance program for me, but I'm still going to cycle calories. And this is how I'm going to do it when it comes to cycling calories, like we talked about last week. Like, for example, last night, it was Saturday night. I went out with my wife and a buddy of mine and his wife. And I probably ate more calories than I typically would. And if I have one bad night of eating, it probably would be Saturday night. So I'm going to just cut back today. And that's my natural way of cycling calories. Like whenever I feel like I've gone one day of overeating a little bit, of eating a little bit more, the next day I'm just going to cut back. Really simple. So even though I'm going to be eating 2 meals a day, right, within a 6-hour eating window, I'm still going to cycle calories by some days eating more and some days eating less. And we talk about why I did that, because it minimizes the slowdown in your metabolism, in my opinion. Like I talk about this all the time. Whenever you lose weight, it's called metabolic adaptation. When you're a smaller person, your metabolism is going to slow down. It's normal. It's actually good. But you can over-exaggerate that metabolic adaptation from restricted calories too long, too aggressively. So by cycling calories, some days eating more, other days eating less, because whenever you eat more food, you kind of like boost your metabolism, like the thermic effect of food, things like that. It's a good way to minimize the slowdown in your metabolism. So even though you're doing a time-restricted eating and eating 2 meals every day with like a protein shake or a protein bar, I still can cycle calories by some days eating more, some days eating less. So keep that in mind. And I typically would OMAD on Sunday. I don't think I'm going to, though, for the rest of the summer. I think I'm going to stick to 2 meals a day. I'm just going to lower the mic. I just want to cough for a second. That's good. I was up a little late last night too, since we went out. It was a lot of fun though. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? We good? Let's see. We got. I hate how. Okay. Okay. Is tracking calories weekly better than daily? Because one day you could have a surplus, and the other day, you know, I exactly right. And let me be the hook right there. Because one day you can have a surplus, then you can pay off your calories debit on the next day. With fasting, yeah, you know, it really it's personal preference. It's easier, but you are right. It's really like how many calories you take in during the whole month. And I've worked with a lot of people who, you know, eat so good most of the time. Say they eat really good 75% of the time, but they just can't seem to lose weight. And sometimes they even gain weight. But then when you look at how many calories they're taking in the course of a month, those days when they eat bad are just so over the top. Like with binge eating and maybe drinking and just whatever that, even though they're good 75% of the time, they're still in a positive energy balance, and it just messes everything up. So you got to keep that in mind. Say whatever you think you can adhere to better, whether it's tracking calories every day or every week or every couple of weeks, you have to experiment and see what works for you. But like we said, calories are a major factor. I always say 3 ways to control your weight. 1 way is calories, no question about it. How much food you eat is going to determine if you're gaining or losing weight. Second is food quality for multiple reasons, right? If you're eating 2,000 calories of junk food that have like no thermic effect, like all processed foods, compared to 2,000 calories of a whole natural diet with an adequate amount of protein, you're going to be you're not going to be as hungry. You're not going to have those trigger foods. You're not going to get the spikes in insulin. Hormonally, you're going to be healthier. You're going to feel more satisfied. Plus, the thermic effect of protein, those 2,000 calories may only equate to 1,600 calories or so. You're going to be thinner and healthier. And then the third way is food timing. There are times within the day where I think you should be in a fasted state. So you dip into stored energy, plus it increases your insulin sensitivity, which is so good for health and can really help with like metabolic syndrome, things like that. So those are like the 3 ways. So calories, keep an eye. You got to keep an eye on calories, no question. You can do it daily, weekly, or even monthly, whatever you think works. Let's go over like a really simple. This is like a really simple exercise plan that I'm going to follow for the next few weeks. And a lot of reasons, and why I'm kind of doing this, like I talked about earlier, I kind of messed myself up when I pushed. This has like been my pattern my whole life. Working out too hard in the gym, ignoring pain. Like I typically would train my upper body, say twice a week. And a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, when I wanted to put on muscle, I started training my upper body like 3 times a week. And I started my elbows. I have a little tendonitis in my elbows over the years from handing people weight and so many different reasons. And they started bothering me, and I just ignored it. I stayed with that 3-day-a-week program, and now I got tendonitis in both elbows, which is messing me up. Plus, I got my bad knee, which I talk about all the time. So I'm going to go on like somewhat of a little bit of a rehab, high rep, metabolic stress type training for the next few weeks. Let's see. I think Nancy got a question here. Hey, Nancy, thanks for showing up. Okay. I'm 72, and I think your advice is spot on. Oh, that sounds good. Okay. I am most days OMAD, so she eats 1 meal a day most days. I have lost 30 pounds. Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations. And my blood sugar, blood pressure, much better. Great. I make sure to get a good amount of proteins and good veggies. That sounds great. I mean, if you can do the OMAD most days, so I would assuming that would be your calorie deficit day. On the days you're not doing it, you're making sure you're getting a good nutrition. I think it's wonderful. 30 pounds sounds great. So you're cycling your calories automatically. I've done all videos on that. That was the whole gist of the live stream last week, is that by doing a different intermittent strategy or schedule every single day, you're automatically cycling your calories. So say one day you're doing OMAD, maybe you're in a good calorie deficit. Maybe the next day you do a 16-8, maybe you're at maintenance calories. Maybe the next day you do a 20-hour fast, you're in a little bit of a deficit. Maybe the next day you do an 18-6, you're at maintenance. So it's ideal without necessarily having to count calories. It's a great way. But doing like an OMAD is almost like doing like an alternate day fasting in a way. You'd OMAD one day, right? 16-8 the next. I love that. I love all that. See, and I've done that multiple times. What I'm doing now is more that time restricted eating, but I'm still going to be conscious of what I'm eating within the two meals. I use an electrolyte drink also. I get good exercise with lightweight, sounds great. Walking and gardening, fantastic. I take D3, love it, K2, potassium, magnesium, awesome. You're right on, Nancy. You're killing it. That's great. Hey, Steve Tazik, my man. Thanks, Steve, for showing up. This is great. What are your thoughts on veggie? No, I think veggie pasta is good. I would definitely take protein along with veggie pasta. Like I wouldn't just have veggie pasta as a meal unless it's enhanced with protein. Sometimes it is. I'm not sure like what veggie pasta it is, but I think it's great. It's much better, like a cauliflower rice, and it's so much better than just taking in the plain pastas, which is going to give you a big insulin spike, which is going to be mostly sugar with minimal nutrition. Some pastas will have some eggs in them and can give you a little bit of protein. But I would say, Steve, if you're doing like a veggie pasta for dinner, just put some protein on top. Put a nice piece of salmon on top or steak or something like that. Just don't eat it. Just don't think you're getting enough protein just from that veggie pasta. Unless, like I'm saying, it's a special pasta which is enhanced with protein, which it could be. But Steve, this is great. So wonderful you're showing up. I can't wait to see you guys soon, which is great. Okay, so let's go over this really basic exercise program. This is what I'm going to follow. If you noticed, I've been really enjoying walking this summer. Like I walk, I don't know if you've ever been in New York, or I know Steve knows the Hudson River so well. I walk along the Hudson River. A place called Croton. It's incredible. I'm like, there were points along my walk where I get splashed, high tide from the Hudson, from the water. So I love it. And I've been doing it twice a day. So this is my way of kind of really enjoying the summer, like maybe kicking back on the intensity of my workouts. Plus, there's so much benefits. If there's one singular thing you can do when it comes to exercise or active lifestyle, I would say walking. It's like meditating when you're moving. It's so good for my mental health, walking every single day. So what I do first thing in the morning, I wake up, generally have at least 1 cup of coffee. Sometimes I even have 2, black coffee. I drink one of those maybe liter-sized Pellegrino waters. Sometimes I put lemon in it. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll put a little apple cider vinegar. Sometimes I don't. It depends. Then I drive over to the 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂 and I walk for 30 to 40 minutes. I absolutely love it. Even if I have a client at 7 o'clock, I'm there at like 5:45. If I have a client at 10, I'm there at maybe 8:30. It's an incredible way to start your day. But don't feel you have to be as aggressive as I am. You don't have to do 30, 40 minutes. You can do a 10-minute walk in the morning. I'm sure we have a lot of people from Europe, from all different parts of the world. In the United States, people don't walk like people do in other countries. They just don't. Walking is key. It's a fundamental thing. All the blue zone people who live forever, they're walking all over the place. I mean, it's like the Mediterranean diet and like walking are the 2 best things you can probably possibly do for your health. So I like to start my day with a 30 or 40 minute walk. First of all, I'm in a fasted state, so I am burning a greater percentage of fat calories, right? Mentally, it's clearing my head. I can plan my day when I'm walking. Another thing I do, which I think is really good, I started doing this maybe 6 months ago, and I got this I talk about this guy all the time, 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂. He has that podcast who I love. He's the professor from Stanford. It's called 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃 Lab. I love his podcast. He got me doing this thing where I only breathe through my nose when I do this walk in the morning. And at first it was a little challenging because I think I may have been a little bit of a mouth breather. Like when I slept at night, because I used to wear like a retainer type thing, I felt like that retainer conditioned me to not let me close my mouth, and I was breathing through my mouth. But I got rid of that retainer like a year ago. I said I don't even think it was doing anything. And now that I purposely breathe through my nose when I'm walking, I was getting these I thought sinus headaches. Headaches went away. I think it clears out my nasal passages. I think it just oxygenates my whole body so much better. I absolutely love it. And I find now that when I'm sleeping, I'm breathing through my nose better. I think it just changed everything. I breathe now more through my diaphragm, and I just breathe through my nose. I absolutely love it. So my first walk of the day, if you can do that, even if it's for 10 minutes, start working on breathing through your nose if you can. I think it's a great thing to do. Let's see what Juicy said. I know you said both are great, but what should be more important in a fasted state, cardio or weight training? Also, if you're doing cardio on 0 calories, what are you burning? Okay, so let's answer that first. If you're doing cardio on 0 calories, just think you're dipping into stored energy. Hopefully, you're burning fat and carbohydrates. Could you be burning a little bit of protein? Possibly. Could you have some, they call it gluconeogenesis? Could the liver be making glucose, right, from non-carbohydrate sources? Possibly. It's a little protein. Possibly. Depends on where you're coming from. I wouldn't say what's better or worse. I just look at it like this. When I like doing my cardio fasted because I feel like I burn a little bit more fat. It's just easier. My cardio workouts are relatively short, or I'm doing long easy. And then when I'm doing my resistance training, it's like, you're burning carbs, it's glycolytic. I want the energy carbs. So maybe when I'm doing a resistance training workout, I might do a protein shake with some carbs and protein in there. So, it's hard to say. But I like doing fasted cardio. And when it comes to resistance training, I like taking in a little bit of carbs and a little bit of protein in there. Okay. I agree. I do breathing. This is great. I agree. I do breathing exercises when I'm driving. I have a total of 4 hours driving every day. It works specifically when you get stuck in traffic. I think that's great. I love it. The only negative thing, this is funny too, and I started realizing this. I also related this to wearing the mask a lot, during the pandemic, is that when you breathe through your nose, and I walk, it's interesting, you see the same people walking on the path all the time. Like everyone knows me, I know them in the morning crowd, like my morning walks. I find like it's harder to smile like this. It's harder to smile at people when you're keeping your mouth closed and you're breathing through your nose. So I felt like that's the only negative, because smiling, it puts you in a good mood. Like you're smiling, you're happy, you're walking, you're saying hello to people. Maybe you'll chat as you pass someone really quickly. But in that morning walk, plus you get a little bit more serious people who walk in the morning too. They're hustling, and then they know they got to get to work, got things going on. So that's the only negative thing about breathing through your nose, is that you truly can't give someone a good smile. You can kind of give them like a mouth closed smile. But in the afternoon, like when I do my second walk of the day, I've really been doing this twice a day. I do a lot of smiling, because I also do another 30-40 minute walk at the end of the day, and I love it. I'm trying to take advantage of the summer and being near the water and all that. This will end, once the weather gets cold for me. I'll probably still do it once a day, and I did it all through the winter. That's the other thing about this path I walk on in Croton. They actually salt and shovel it and like plow it. It's like a public park. It's incredible. It could be like a foot of snow within like a day. You can walk on this path, which I absolutely love. Hey, 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉, thanks for showing up. And that's okay. You can watch the replay, but we're gonna go a while longer. Any questions? Let me know. This is great. Thanks, 𝘾𝙊𝙼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉. I feel bad because I think you left another comment on Instagram that I wanted to respond to, and I will respond to that comment. Okay, Nancy. Okay, I don't think people give their bodies enough credit. The body is always working on balancing everything. 𝘾𝙊𝙼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉, I agree. Yes, on the breathing through the yolk. That's great. No, I agree. That's the kind of nice thing. That's why some people feel, creating a little stress within the body, like through a fasting, through getting a little hungry, or just a little bit of exercise. That's where the longevity, there's so many benefits. It's just creating a little bit of stress within the body. Oh, sure, 𝘾𝙊𝙼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉. Yeah, now that you popped up, I've been wanting to answer that question. It's interesting. The reason why I'm really not on top of this Instagram as much, like I talked about, I can't believe how well I'm doing on TikTok with my videos. Like I'll take the same short video, put it on YouTube. I'll get maybe say 1,000 views. I put that same video on TikTok, 50,000 views, 30,000 views, 60,000 views, and I'm getting so many comments on TikTok. I feel like I'm excited about it though. I'm not sure. I don't really understand TikTok yet, but we'll see. But I will definitely answer that. Let's see what Gene's got here. Okay. In the last month, I regained much of the muscle I had lost during the very low carb diet. But I have a feeling I won't improve much beyond that. I'm not 18 years. I don't know, Gene. Don't think along those lines. Okay, let me read this to make sure. Much of the muscle I lost. Yeah, it's interesting. I was hoping next time when you do that very low carb diet, I don't want you to lose the muscle. This is what I think probably happened to you. I just think it could be a little confusing, because unless you're really doing we used to do when I was in school, in exercise physiology lab, we would weigh people on the water, to really determine what their body fat is. Or now they have those scanning machines, you can go under, to tell you really what your body fat is. When you do those very low carb diet, I just think your muscles just had no glycogen in them, or next to no glycogen in them. And a big guy like you, and I'm sure you're pretty muscular too, who knows, maybe you could have stored 3,000 calories of carbohydrates in your muscles, and multiplied that by 4 with water. It's incredible how you can really feel like you're losing muscle mass when you devolumize the muscle cell with low carbs and low water content. And then as soon as you start eating carbs, right, you volumize the muscle cell with water. That's what bodybuilders do. That's what they do. That's like when I was training bodybuilders, 30 years ago for just local contests, that's what we would do. We would put them in ketosis for maybe the last 2 weeks, right before a contest, so they lose all the water weight, they deplete everything. And one reason why we put them into ketosis is that once we carb them up, a day or two before the show, they'd eat 300-400 grams of carbohydrates. The body overcompensates and holds even more water, but the water is being stored in the muscle. You look incredibly muscular, and you're looking amazing. Getting the timing right is complicated. So I think to some degree, Gene, I don't think you lost as much muscle as you think you may have lost when you were doing that very low carb diet. You probably didn't. You may have lost some. But I know you were keeping your protein up. I just think that there were times when the next time around, I don't think you should go so low. Do those really low 500 calorie days, those 800 calories days. You can easily be in a great calorie deficit, 1,500 calories, taking in enough protein, taking up just some carbs, not kind of eating 100 grams of carbs a day, doing kind of like more what I'm doing. I think that should be your next move. But we'll talk about it more and more, but I don't think you lose as much like you think. And I would say the biggest indicator is too, were you weaker? Like if you felt like you couldn't lift as much weight or couldn't exercise like you normally would when you were doing that very low carb diet. I know the carbs can have a factor too. That would be an indicator that maybe you were losing muscle. If all of a sudden you can bench, 200 pounds 10 times, and then all of a sudden you can only bench it 5 times out of nowhere, and maybe you lost some muscle mass, but you may not have. Yeah, TikTok is amazing for getting seen. Yeah, TikTok I think is one of the only platforms where organically, what I mean by organically is like when you put out a video, if you don't want to pay to promote it, like on Facebook or Instagram, they will put it out there for you and just test the market. Plus, they promote multiple videos at a time. Like if I do a video on YouTube, as soon as I do my next video, YouTube forgets about the old video and it goes into search only, meaning that you have to search with keywords for the term. TikTok seems to just put everything out there. It's really interesting. I'm sure it won't last forever. They probably give you a year or two, and then it'll be like every other platform. Like who knows? Yeah, no one understands TikTok. I'm gonna stay with it. I find it exciting, but I can't quite figure it out. Hey, Melissa, how you doing? HIIT is awesome for older. Yeah, I agree. I love the high intensity type. Like, you're gonna see it's coming up in my next section of this slide. I think it's great too. Thanks for showing up. Great photo too. What are the benefits of? I'm not sure what that is. When you break a fast, or even you mean hot pepper? Is that what you're talking about? Hot pepper has a thermic effect. Is that what you're saying? Like the hot pepper has a thermic effect, which can raise your metabolism a little bit. Is that people like putting hot pepper? Hot pepper, right? There's like that combination. What do they mix the hot pepper with? Apple cider vinegar and like hot pepper is kind of like a weight loss like drink people take. It's interesting when we were kids, not kids, like teenagers. Like big combination was like a baby aspirin with like an ephedrine, like something like a nasal spray, like a clenbuterol or something like that. That was like a big, and they made that all that stuff illegal. It's kind of funny. Okay, so let's go back to the exercise plan. Okay, so walking 30 to 40 minutes in the morning in a fasted state, breathing through the nose, right? Doing it again at the end of the day, just breathing normally so I can smile at people, just enjoying myself, winding down for the day. Love it. That's going to be my walking plan every single day. Today I may just walk 2 hours because I'm doing this live stream after this. Then I'm going to do my upper body training twice per week on non-consecutive days, like a Monday and a Thursday. And I'm not going to kill myself. And I'm going to do some mobility movement work. I'm going to do more like that pump training, that metabolic stress training, where I'm just building up metabolites from the muscle. I'm going to do high repetitions, relatively slow rep cadence. I'm going to do like 15, 20 reps, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. I'm not looking to make big muscle gains. I'm looking to just do like a maintenance program for the next few weeks. Let my elbow settle down, that tendonitis in my elbows. I've been doing a lot of rehab for my knee with my back. Oh, that's what I forgot to mention too. I do a lot of backwards walking within these walks as well too, like I talked about, weeks ago, that knees over toes guy. So besides doing this walking forward, maybe I'll do 10, 15 minutes in the morning and the evening of walking backwards as well. I forgot to mention that. So let's see what Gene's got here. Okay. Gene says, which very low carb diet stands for very low calorie? Okay, Mike, very low carb diet stands for very low calorie diet. Oh no, okay, Gene, sorry about that. I didn't realize that. Maybe that's my dyslexia kicking in. Some people normally correct me on that. So you're saying you went very low, right? You went very low calorie, not necessarily very low carb. But I'm curious to know, even though you were probably so low calorie, I think you were doing about like 500 to 800 calories a day, something like that. Maybe you were only taking in maybe 50 grams of carbs, only a couple hundred calories of carbs. So you probably were getting the same effect of what I described because you were going so low carb, unless you were just, because you were going so low calorie, unless you were just making sure that you were going low calorie and most of your calories were carbs, but I don't think they were. I know you were trying to get enough protein and things like that. So I think everything I said about very low carb would apply to the very low calorie because you were going really low calorie. So when it comes to doing it again, I like it, just like I say, I like it to go maybe at least 1,200, maybe even 1,500 calories on your low calorie days, getting 100 grams of carbs, in your case, a good amount of protein, 150 grams, 200 grams of protein, and fast just from the healthy food you're eating, I can even do a whole live stream, Gene, on what I would want you to do exactly if you want, or I can even just do a video on it if you think you would find that helpful. Like, give me all your numbers, give me your weight, tell me what you're looking to do. Even though I kind of know, I can do a whole video like as like a case study if you want. Unless you want to keep it more private, I understand that too. Just let me know. Let's see what Melissa's got. Okay. I've been riding my bike a lot lately. Got a goal shorts today. Oh, that sounds great. Cool. I love bike riding. It bothers my knee a little bit, so I use the bike all the time. I've been walking. I was even thinking about trying this. I would love to run because, my son's a collegiate runner. He's an incredible runner. My daughter's a great runner too, but my knee can't seem to tolerate it. But I think I've always tried to do it too quickly, too hard. So I was thinking about trying this. I did this with my shoulder many years ago. I dislocated my shoulder snowboarding like 20 years ago, tore the labrum, and I had tendonitis in my shoulder. And what I did is, I don't know if you saw those bicycles. That's Melissa, you reminded me of this like those, they call them Orbeez, where you bike with your arms. And I literally did that 1 minute a day, and then every day I added a minute. So after 30 days, I was doing 30 minutes on the hand bicycle up, and my tendonitis went away in my shoulder. So I was thinking I would love to be able to run. So I was thinking about maybe trying that, like pick one of these walks that I've been doing, the morning or evening walk. Literally day one, run, jog slowly for 1 minute. Then I was thinking about adding maybe 1 minute to that every single day, or maybe even 30 seconds. So at the end of like 30 or 60 days, I would be running for 30 minutes. I might do it. Micro progression is the key in rehab. So, we'll see. Okay. My most favorite exercise is running, not only for burning calories, but also just for feeling healthy. Yeah, I know. I wish I could. I love running. It's like, I love it. I think it would be great too. I used to run all the time before my knee operation. Okay. I can't bike either, my knee, and I get motion sickness and get dizzy. Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's hard. But walking, it seems like pretty much everyone can walk at any age. Walking is just so key to it. Because let's continue with this. So I got my morning walk, my evening walk, breathing through the nose, the morning walk, right? Walking backwards about 10 minutes in like 5-minute spurts, morning and evening. Upper body, 45 minutes to an hour, twice a week. High reps, right? Slow rep cadence. That means a slow eccentric, great for tendonitis, great for your joints. Do that twice a week. Then on a Tuesday and Friday, I'm going to do more my HIIT cardio, just like Melissa. I'm going to do like just a short 15-minute, 20-minute maybe, but maybe do 5 or 6 1-minute intervals. I like the Stairmaster and the elliptical because I have them at my gym. My knee can tolerate it as long as I don't go too crazy. I'll go more with cadence to make it harder as opposed to going with like a high level. I do my core on the days that I do my HIIT cardio, and then I'll do a little bit of lower body work, but I have to be careful with my knee. Like I'll do like body weight squats, a lot of band work, maybe some hip thrusts, and maybe some RDLs. Just really simple, same thing. Less than maybe like an hour because I'm doing a lot of different things there with the cardio. And then, like I said, high reps, slow rep cadence. And I've also been fooling around with that BFR, that blood flow restrictions training, which I've done other videos on where you occlude the limb. I've been doing that too with my knee, and I think it's helping a little bit. Like I take those tourniquets. I use a machine called the 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃 machine, which actually occludes. That means it restricts blood flow, like that venous blood flow to your heart, so the metabolites and the blood like pools within the muscle. So I can do like body weight squats with those bands on my legs, need a nice pump in my legs, or do like a very light leg extension, get a good pump in my legs. So I'm gonna do that, like blood flow restriction training. I'm gonna do a lot of mobility work. This is all my mobility stuff that I do all the time, which is easy on my joints. So that's gonna be my routine. So that's gonna be 4 days a week. Probably the Wednesday, which is like the middle of the week, I might just do a 2-hour walk instead of doing the 30 in the morning, 30 at night like I'm doing today on Sunday. And that's going to be my routine. I'm going to really try to enjoy the summer. I'm not going to go too crazy. It's going to be like a maintenance thing. Let's see what Melissa said. My knees have gotten stronger from biking. Oh, that's great. No, I have to say, most people tolerate. I know me and 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃, our knees can't, but most people feel great from biking. I've had clients who doctors have told them you need a knee replacement. Wait as long as you can because they loosen up. Let's wait as long as possible, and they bike and they can bike and they do great. They've even gone to Soul Cycle and Flywheel went out of business. They were going to Flywheel. They can even somewhat aggressively bike. but they can't jog. They can't jump. They couldn't jump. No, they couldn't do any type of impact thing, but they do incredibly well with biking. I think it's great. It lubricates the joint. I mean, biking's awesome. Okay. Is measuring your waist better than the scale? Hard to say. I mean, I think that's a great thing to go by. I think especially for men. Women is probably a little different because of women seem, maybe more the glutes. It's more spot for women to measure the hips. But for men, I think that's a good indicator for sure. A combination of the both. I think like your belt buckle, just all the loops going down in your pants is a great indicator. I hate the scale. I go by how my pants fit. No, that sounds great. I think for girls, yes. For women, for sure, a pair of jeans that are somewhat tight, is a great indicator of whether you're losing or gaining, in the places you want to, which is great. Okay. When a small to medium fit me, I'm doing something right. That sounds good. I like it. That sounds great. That's going to be my normal routine. Okay, so let's go to some of the meals I've been eating. So I always like to end, with some specific examples of how I've been eating. Maybe one or two of these you may have seen, but I got some new ones in here. Let's see what Gene's got. Okay. You're right when you said I probably didn't lose that much muscle during my very low calorie diet. I got the calorie deficit. I think I just lacked energy during my workouts because of the low carbs and calories. Now, I agree, Gene. I think that's what it was too. I don't think you have to, like we talked about, I don't think you have to go that low next time. I really don't. I think you can do you can do just as well and feel better and maybe get better workouts in. Just go low calorie, but not very low calorie. So we'll take the V out of that. Okay. Say with Nancy. Okay, Nancy. Let's see what Nancy's got. Okay. I have an old. I remember Tony Little, right? Sure. Tony Little was the ponytail guy, right? He wrote that book Techniques, and now I think he's on QVC and all that stuff. So he has that. I forget the name of it, but he had that machine, which is kind of like that's. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. It was a machine where, what did it look like? It wasn't an elliptical. It was kind of like a machine where your arms are moving like in this motion, which is probably a great low impact thing to use. I'm sure. I've never tried one, but I'm sure I would like it. I get on there for fast 5 minutes, and it lowers my my BS from high carb meal. That's great. I think that's great. I like it. Okay. Now you see why many competitive eaters are able to stay in shape because they may eat a huge calorie surplus one day. They'll be better on the rest. Oh, I just think you're saying. And I think you brought that up last week in the live stream, saying that you were talking about it. I don't really follow the competitive eaters, like people who can win these eating contests. So Juicy is trying to say that some days, they're eating like that, but then the next day they're eating like, much less, which makes sense. Yes. Gazilla? Is that how you pronounce that? Gazilli? That's cool. I remember it though. I'm sure they're still around. So I'm sure those are those things that when you go on like Craigslist and you see them for sale all over the place because people bought them years ago. But I think it's a nice motion. Great for the hip flexors. Hits the hip flexors. I think it's nice. Sounds good. He used to lean all the way forward and lean all the way back, and it was kind of fun to watch him on it. He's probably a pretty good athlete, the guy. Okay, so let's go over some of these meals I got here. Let's see. Let's go with it. Oh, that's a little too big. I think I may have showed you this last week, but this is like a typical like dinner of what I would have, and it kind of breaks down the concept of what I was talking about, like how to structure like the perfect meal to eat. So let's break everything down. First of all, like I said, I'm prioritizing protein, right? It's hard to tell. This is a gigantic Italian plate, so this is over 8 ounces of I think this is steelhead trout here. This is probably maybe 10, 12 ounces. I'm maybe getting 60, 70 grams of protein almost here. Maybe it's a little bit less, not sure. Good quality source of protein, high in those omega-3s, like I'm saying. Juicy was asking those essential fatty acids, the EPA. I try to get a gram or two a day. So important. Great complete source of protein. We just season it with a little bit of salt, pepper, some oregano's on there, maybe a little bit of EVOO drizzle on top. Getting a great complete source of protein there, but I wanted more protein. So I went with a little bit of that smoked salmon. Not much here, probably an ounce or two. I love smoked salmon. That saltiness, once again, high in those omega-3 fatty acids. Then I want some potassium, right? The avocado, which I think avocados are superfood. I eat them every single day. Plus, they're loaded with fiber. The net carbs are low. Good, healthy monounsaturated fats. And I've been hooked on these salmon roe fish eggs. I've been buying them at Whole Foods. They're on sale right this very moment. They came out with their own brand now. I was buying a different brand. Now they have their own Whole Foods. They taste great. They're normally $15 for a container. Now they're $10 on sale now. I just bought a whole bunch of them, loaded with those omega-3 fatty acids. Plus, I love the taste of them. Some people don't. Like when I post them on those short videos I've been doing, people say, I don't like the taste of them. They do have a little bit of a fishy taste, but I just love them. Even when I used to eat sushi, you know, those I was one of my favorite pieces of sushi when they would have those raw eggs on top. I just love it. And then asparagus, right? And just think like 2 different colors. This time I went with asparagus, which is the green. And then for my other fruit or vegetable, I went with the red, with the strawberries. And strawberries are like berries, low sugar, loaded with antioxidants, almost like a free food because the net carbs are so low. I just think this is perfect eating, in my opinion. This is like a perfect dinner. Could even be a lunch. And obviously, if you don't want as many calories as this, cut back on everything a little bit. You know, maybe half an avocado, maybe 1 teaspoon instead of a tablespoon of the fish eggs. Instead of 8 ounces, go 4 ounces of salmon, or this is steelhead trout. Just cut back a little bit. Don't have to cut back on the asparagus, right, or the strawberries. You can have a decent amount of those. Let's see. Oh, Pure Lily. See. Oh, great. Thanks for showing up. Hey, Mike, how long you think our bodies keep higher metabolic rate after fasting periods? I have been lately rather sloppy with my fasting, but was fasting last year a lot. Lost 15 kilograms. Well, that's fantastic. It's interesting that increased metabolic rate from fasting mostly comes from a little bit of a longer term fast. Like if you're doing 16-8, if you're doing 18-6, you're not going to get too much of a metabolic boost. Like those counter-regulatory hormones like cortisol and even human growth hormone and testosterone seem to kick in, 36 hours, 24 hours, and it's hard to say how long it's going to last. I mean, I read some studies where people who fasted for 3 days and like testosterone went through the roof, went up like 600-700%. Their metabolism slightly, not aggressively, but slightly increases. It's almost like that whole like thought process, like that ancestral thought process that the body is so smart that it protects itself. Like, you know how like there's no food, so you need energy, you need alertness, you need to be like ready to go to look for food, right? So like say you haven't eaten in 2 days, it's not like you're gonna fall apart, right? You're probably in ketosis, so the liver's making ketone bodies, which keeps you alert, so you can go look for food, right? Your body wants to maintain muscle mass. So it's going to increase human growth hormone. It's going to increase testosterone. Your, cortisol is going to help the body release glucose from the liver. You probably have some gluconeogenesis to some degree, making glucose from non-carbohydrate sources. So it's really hard to say how long your metabolic rate will be elevated. I would just, if you're in the mood, just get back into it. Get back on plan. I don't know if you feel like doing this. Like the plan I'm talking today is not that aggressive. If you're used to those longer fasts, I think you can do really well with a 16-80 or an 18-6 too mad, right? With a protein shake or protein bar. I think you can, once you ease into it before you start doing more of the extended type fasting. Okay, I gained weight on my week off from tennis. Yeah, I know you were talking about that last week. I decided to be more aggressive and go back to a modified alternate day fasting, ADF, for at least a few weeks. Don't worry, I will focus on getting that sounds good. No, that sounds good. You have to do it. I mean, you know what you're doing. I mean, I think that's a great way to do it. It's funny, even a week of ADF, and I know it kind of reprograms you, and then you get some momentum going. Oh, caviar, yes, I love it. It's like inexpensive caviar. I think it's great. It's interesting because Whole Foods also, right below the one I buy for $10, they have one for $59, which I just can't do it. $60 is too much for me. I only get like 2, maybe 3 servings out of the little jar. So maybe one day I'll buy it, Well, let's see, juicy, let's see what he said. Okay, should you eat in a surplus for 200 calories the day before you fast to supercharge? Hard to say. I don't know, that's not too much of a surplus 200 calories, almost like a reverse diet with those guys. Reverse dieting is kind of, maybe you would call it a bodybuilding term where when people cycle their calories, like for example, they go into a calorie surplus, but they do it so gradually. Say they've been in a calorie deficit for a while and they want to reverse that. They may eat 100 more calories a day, but it's really hard to do that. You got to be somewhat neurotic and look everything up, and you could do that. I mean, 200 calories is not too much though. Let's show another meal. I've been doing a lot of these. I know we talked about salads. This is another one of my go-to meals. This is generally how I break my fast a lot. Like I got my arugula salad base. I love arugula salad. I talk about it all the time. One of the reasons why I like it so much is back to that nitric oxide story. Arugula is probably one of the foods that are highest naturally in those healthy nitrates. And when you eat foods that are high in nitrates, they convert to nitric oxide within the body, which is incredible for blood flow and vasodilate. It just opens everything up. High blood pressure runs in my family, so I always try to eat foods that can help potentially control or even lower blood pressure. So that's like 100 grams of arugula has like 400 milligrams of nitrates in it. I love it. You may not be able to see, but I also have some sliced onion there. Then I have my sardines, superfood. I love my sardines. Can of sardines, only like $3.50. You get 25, 30 grams of, complete protein plus high in those omega-3 fatty acids. Plus you're getting the skin, the bones, the connective tissue, high in calcium. I love sardines. I know some people don't. I love it. And even though, I do eat red meat and I do eat chicken, most of the time when I'm eating animal type protein, it is fish. I lean a little bit more to a pescatarian type, and I go with the fish low in the food chain to hope to minimize the mercury and things like that. So we got a can of sardines there, and that's not enough for me, that 26 grams of protein. So I also went with maybe 4 or 5 ounces of the smoked salmon again too, just to get up to like 50 grams of protein. I didn't show a picture of that, but if I'm at 50 grams of protein, I probably had maybe a protein shake pre-workout where I already took in 25 grams of protein, or maybe I had a protein bar along with this, which I'll show you that in some of the other meals. Then I got my fish eggs once again, strawberries. This is just, once again, I'd say perfect eating, like right on track. And I also want to talk about this. I like to do a small meal. Like if I'm in a hurry, I just want a snack, or say I'm doing like an OMAD, but I want to get a little bit more protein, I may do this an hour or so before I'm only having one meal a day. Or maybe this will be like just a quick post-workout meal if I don't have time for something big. just like 4-6 ounces of salmon. I love taking those salmon roe fish eggs, taking out the pit of an avocado, dumping it in there, I spoon it out, and my strawberries. I do that like all the time. I got a few more meals to go to. Let's see what Gene's got. Okay. Just subscribe to your TikTok channel. See you. Oh, thanks, Gene. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm doing all those like how I break my fast type videos. And then I've even taken some of the YouTube videos. Not all of them. I'm putting them on there too. But thanks. I appreciate it, Gene. That's great. Cool. Let me show you some other meals here. Let's see what we got. Let's go with... Oh yeah, this is a good example of me having a bar because I didn't feel like I had enough protein. So these are 4 pasture-raised eggs. And I do think it's important when it comes to buying your eggs that you have to I'll spend a little bit more money. And they're not expensive. You get a dozen eggs. You can buy them for $1.99, and maybe you can spend, $6, $5.99. I buy that. I think it's called the Vital brand, which is like they're pasture raised. I can tell when I crack them open, the yolk is like orange, right? It has that incredible orange golden look to it. You know that you're getting, more B vitamins and higher in omega-3. So those are 4 pasture eggs. I tried to fry this one, I can tell, but I got all messed up. But it's kind of like a combination fried scrambled. I use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil when I make it, and I always measure. That's another trick. When you're using your olive oil, even though I think extra virgin olive oil is one of the healthiest oils you can eat, there is calories, right? Every tablespoon is 130, 140 calories. So I very rarely will take the olive oil and just pour it in the pan. I like to measure. I just take a tablespoon, 130 calories, 140 calories, and that's how I would scramble my eggs. Same thing even when I'm putting dressing on a salad. I like to measure half a tablespoon. I have the measurers all over my kitchen just to keep things in check all the time. Same thing when I'm doing my protein powders. I always, I don't do a heaping scoop. I level the scooper, 25 grams of protein, because I want to keep things in check. Let's see what 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃 says. Yeah, my town hasn't got the good eggs. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. They go in and out. It's interesting. We just recently had a Whole Foods maybe a year and a half ago opened up near us, and I have to say, sometimes people get on, think, oh, it's such an expensive supermarket. I find for certain things, no. Like, for example, these eggs, I also have an Italian supermarket where I do like them. They're very nice. It's a family-owned place, a couple of brothers. They're popular in Westchester. I really do like them. But these dozen eggs there are $7.99. That's a little lot. I can get them at Whole Foods for $5.99, and sometimes they're on sale with my Prime. Certain things at Whole Foods, I find produce at Whole Foods really reasonable. Vegetables, even I make that buffalo chili that I make all the time. If I buy it at my Italian grocery, it's like $9, $10 a pound, like $7 a pound at Whole Foods. Certain things at Whole Foods are really good. You can get caught at Whole Foods overpaying for things, but certain things are very good and they run the sales all the time. So this is 4 pasture-raised eggs. You know, you're only getting 6-7 grams of protein in an egg, so that's at 24. So to increase the protein in this meal, I'm having, this is that what I'm talking about, those Quest protein bars. I love these bars. 21 grams of protein. They do have about 25 grams of carbs, but they also give you 16 grams of fiber. So the net carbs, you may not be able to see it in the picture, but there's only 4 net grams of carbs. And how you figure out net carbs is that you take total carbohydrates, you minus the fiber, and you're left with a digestible amount of carbs. And that's so, and they taste great, really satisfying. My wife eats one every single day. So this brought me up to about 50 grams of protein. And then I did my normal thing, my avocado with my fish eggs, and this was kind of fun. I've been eating like a lot of white peaches lately because they're in season and they're on sale. Maybe they're a little bit more sugary than a strawberry blueberry, but this was a really enjoyable meal to have. I absolutely loved it. Let's see what Gene. Hubby just got back to work, so things get. Oh, that's great. I'm so happy about that. I know 𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂, Gene's husband. He was a real fit guy, and he still is. He hurt himself, and I know he had an operation. So I'm so glad he's back on the job and everything. That's great. I think he's the UPS guy. I think you said, right, which is great. I'm glad. And those UPS guys, they make good money. The UPS, that's great. All right, let's see. Let me show you another meal. Did I show you this one? This is a kind of a cool. This is a similar twist to that. I just did this. I normally would always go spinach. Like I made my normal 4 pasture-raised eggs, but this time I added. Sometimes I normally would saute some spinach. This time I went with arugula, and I absolutely loved it. And it's interesting how you can take 100 grams of arugula or 100 grams of spinach, and you know how it wilts down to nothing, and it makes it taste so good. I absolutely loved it. And I did my normal mix. I did my blueberry, strawberry medley, and my avocado with my fish eggs. I really loved it. And I want to show you the sushi bowl too. But let's see if Melissa's got a question here. Okay, when you feast on steak, how many ounces? It really depends on how much protein I took in for the like where I am protein wise. Like if I had a lunch, say I had a lunch like this, which this is relatively low in protein, maybe only 4-6 ounces as like a sushi bowl. But I'm going to talk about this sushi bowl, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I may go 16 ounces taking 100 grams at night, but typically I'm around that 8 to 12 ounce portion when it comes to a steak, which I like. And like I say, I don't go with the fatty cuts, a filet mignon. My son loves steak, he eats steak almost every night. Even if we're making fish, my son's not a big on fish. We'll make him steak, and I'll grab a couple ounces of steak, even if I'm eating fish that night. But I would look at your total protein requirements for the day, Melissa. And my general formula, I don't know if you were here in the beginning, is 0.9 grams times your lean body weight, right? So you can figure out like that up. But I think you can go 0.9 grams per pound of weight too. So just make sure you're taking enough protein. And like we said, every 4 ounces of chicken, fish, or meat is about 25 grams of protein. So I generally don't go more than 75 grams in one meal, and I'm generally a lot of times 50, and I supplement with another 25. Let's see, James. My husband, 76, has lost a lot of muscle mass. Would a Quest bar be? Yeah, I think Quest bar would be great for him, Nancy. No question about it. I even find, though, if you've never eaten one before, because it has 15, 16 grams of fiber, depending upon the flavor, if you look at the label, I think that chocolate one has 12 to 14. Some of the other ones could have 16, 17 grams of fiber. Drink a lot of water with it because that fiber is going to blow up in your stomach. Some people can have a little bit of an issue consuming that much fiber if you're not used to eating a high fiber diet. So with him, buy him the flavor that he likes. Have him eat half for a couple of days, like 2-3 days, see how his stomach tolerates it, and before you give him the whole bar, because it's so high in fiber. Same thing with those NoCow, NoCoW. I love those too. Those are the plant-based protein bars. So if you want to eat your protein, I should have had one down here. I may have a picture of one. I'm not sure. Same thing. Those have 16, 17 grams of fiber in them as well. I think Pamela, right? That was a vegetarian. Pamela, those no-cow protein bars are a great thing to do too, if you're on a vegetarian diet. For sure. So just ease into it when it comes to increasing the fiber. The kind of cool thing about this, let me see. Okay, good morning. Hey, James. Thanks for showing up. Cool. Good morning, Mike. Great to see you, James. What would you say is the sweet spot for protein in a meal? Could you eat too much? Okay, I talked about it a little bit before. I mean, my quick answer would say I wouldn't worry about it. I would say no. I mean, I wouldn't go much over 100 grams unless you're 300 pounds. Like I told you about, the research is a little bit mixed. For years, people were saying you can't utilize for hypertrophy, for putting on muscle more than 25, 30 grams. I think that's been somewhat debunked, and that's been elevated to 50, 60 grams. But I have looked at studies where people were doing the OMAD diet and like taking 80 grams, 100 grams in one meal, and they compared that, the researchers, to people who were eating the same amount of protein in 2-3 meals, and there really wasn't much of a difference. So my own feeling, and you hear other people say the same thing, that the body's so smart, it can speed up or slow down digestion. I wouldn't worry about it. Don't stuff yourself. I mean, I like to go, I generally don't go above 75 grams, and I'm not that big of a guy. You know, I think 8 to 12 ounces of a piece of protein is really good. Plus, you're always getting, like even this, you're looking at the sushi bowl, even though most of the protein is going to be the salmon, there's some soybeans there. I mean, there's protein in broccoli, there's protein in all the vegetables too, so you're getting a little bit there too, right? What's your feeling on carnivore for a bit? I think it's great for a bit. First of all, incredible elimination diet, right? If you have any autoimmune, you have problems with your stomach, but all different things, just eliminating everything and just eating animal protein like that, then introducing one food at a time is a great thing. You'll lose a ton of weight on carnivore. First of all, you're going to be in a pretty good calorie deficit. You know, most of your calories are coming from those carbs, the processed food. So that, plus you're obviously going to get a ton of protein, you're going to get a ton of fat. I think it's good. I experimented with a little bit. I never 100% pulled the trigger, but I've done like just protein, animal protein and fruit, or maybe just like an avocado. I would try, you know, maybe your husband wants to do it. Now that he's getting back going. I would try it for a week or two. It'd be fun. I know Gene talks about him all the time too. Dr. 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝘃 loves it. He's on carnivore now for a couple of years. I just watched the whole live stream with him. It was great. He had another woman on carnivore. She's been doing it for, I don't know how long, like 6-7 years. She went from like 280 down to like 140. She looks incredible, feels amazing, and I think it's pretty interesting. Me personally, I don't think it's necessarily a long-term thing that you would do for years, unless you're doing, you know, carnivore with, you know, avocados. Like, I think that Paul Saladino will call that carnivore tier 1, where you're eating mostly animal proteins, but you may be eating an avocado or maybe some berries. He even eats a lot of fruit, but he's with his meats and his organ meats and all that. But he's like surfing. He lives in Costa Rica now. He surfs like 3 hours a day, so he's burning it up. He can take in 200 grams of carbs and fruits and burn it up. Whereas me or you, that probably would be a little excessive, you know. But it's very interesting, the carnivore diet. He needs more fiber. Sure, yeah, try it. I mean, you can definitely try that no cow or the Quest bar, but give him half for like a few days, and then if he's okay with it, drink a lot of water with it, full glass of water when you eat one. Maybe sweet, you can give him a whole bar. Okay, Gene says, I'm really struggling with squat exercises. My right knee hurts when I lift up. Yeah, I know how you feel, Gene. I got the issue. I don't know what is going on with your knee, if you had an operation, if you had an MRI, this or that. You know, don't feel like, I know people think squats are so important. If you're working out at home, and it's not like you have access to like a leg extension or like a leg press or something like that, I would definitely, if you can start doing that backwards walking, I think would help. I would say don't go too deep with the squats. I mean, maybe you can lunge. That doesn't bother you. Maybe squatting does. Maybe you can do a lot of floor work. You can do your hip thrust. You can definitely do your RDLs, you know, your Romanian deadlifts. You can do things like that with the dumbbells. Don't go so deep. You know, a lot of times you want to look above and below. That means if your knee is hurting, this is what I do. And if you hear other therapists say this too, you know, you want to work on your foot strength, your ankle mobility, your foot mobility, just so you have a nice, good surface. Because just think, if your foot's messed up, if your ankle's messed up, it's going to go right above. It's going to put stress on your knee. And then you want to look above the knee. You want to look at your hip. You want your hip mobility. You want your hip strength. So what you could do is spend time strengthening your hip, do internal, external rotation of the hip, do those CARs, those hip circles. Look up CARs on YouTube, hip CARs, circular articular rotation of the hip. Strengthen that, strengthen your ankles, strengthen your feet through calf raises, through, you know, tibialis work, walking on the heels. Try to get above and below the knee as strong as you possibly can, and then maybe start trying the squats. I also like the CARs for the knee. CARs are like the circular articular rotations where you hold your femur and then you make like circles internally, like externally rotating your tib. I know it's confusing. Look up CARs, knee CARs on YouTube. it can really help you. And I also like terminal knee extension, where you sit down with your leg extended and then you kind of contract, try to lift your heel off the ground and work the VMO really good. These are all things that I do, for sure, that I think helps to some degree. Carnivore as a tool to lose weight for a while. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a good short-term strategy. Okay. Oh, hey, Melissa's husband is a carnivore. He cannot eat any sugar or carbs, but he's losing too much. I know he's losing too much weight. That's an issue a little bit. He probably then, I know Dr. 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾 would say this. Maybe you follow Dr. 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾 on YouTube. He would say you're probably not eating enough fatty meats. Like if you're truly carnivore and he's really eating like no carbohydrates, like no fruits, no vegetables, nothing, he probably does have to go much higher fat for sure. Like eat the briskets, eat the ribs, eat the fatty cuts of meat, get your calories up with the fat. That's what Dr. 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾 does. That's what a lot of these carnivore people do. Eat the organ meats, do things like that. If he feels like he's losing too much weight, that's what I would do. Up your calories with the amount of fat. See, I guess I'm blessed. I get my eggs directly from the farm. $3. Oh yeah, fresh eggs, $3. Cool. I love it. That's great. Let's talk about this. This is an interesting sushi bowl, and I talked about this before. I actually put something like this on TikTok too, and some people like this. Some people say this guy doesn't know what he's talking about me. It's kind of funny. See, when I do something like this is a sushi bowl. So I got my salmon, so I'm getting my protein and my fat. There's an avocado cut up here. There's a cucumber. There's some seaweed, there's some soybean, but underneath this is a bowl of white rice. And what I do is I buy this the day before, and I keep it in the refrigerator overnight for 24 hours, and that chemically changes the white rice, and it becomes more of a resistant starch. And what I mean by a resistant starch is that the body, it becomes almost like a fiber, that the body doesn't digest it. It kind of passes through you. It doesn't give you a big insulin spike. And I found a study when people were giving me a hard time that talked about how this is true. And there's that other guy, I think his name is Jason, Justin, I think what's his last name? Rich, I don't want to get his name wrong, but whatever. He's a guy who's like a keto guy. He's like a handsome guy, shredded, young guy like in his 30s. I think his wife does it too. He has a high profile, has a big following. I saw him wear a blood glucose monitor. He had a 24-hour monitor on. This is a TikTok video. And one day, he just ate white rice. Then 2 hours later, he measured his blood sugar spike, and it went through the roof, went really high. The next day, though, he refrigerated the white rice overnight, did the same exact thing, ate the same amount of white rice. 2 hours later, minimal blood sugar spike. So there really is something to it. But it's funny, back to Dr. 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝘾, I saw him do a video, though. He doesn't believe it. But I think it really does work. I feel it with me, it really works too. So if I want to have a treat like this, like if I want to eat white potatoes, I want to eat white rice, I'd have like sushi. I always buy it the day before, refrigerate it, minimizes the blood sugars. I think, try it. I think there's something to it. Okay, Mike, would a collagen protein help if you have weak fascia? I ask because I have plantar fasciitis. Small hernia for years from where I got a hernia too. My hernia's been bothering me lately. It's funny. No, I think it's a good. Yeah, I do collagen protein almost every day, 10-20 grams. I do, because I don't really have much bone broth. I don't do it I was doing it every single day, and I kind of eased up. Maybe now I'll do it every other day. It'll be one of my protein shakes. So I'll do maybe 1 scoop of collagen, 10 grams, with with a whey protein. The only negative thing about collagen is that it's not a complete protein. It's missing one of the essential amino acids. It's missing tryptophan. So that's why I like to maybe mix it. But it is high in non-essential amino acids like proline and what's the other one? Proline and glycine, which is really good for your skin, hair, nails, and joints. But another thing you can do, and sometimes I do this, if you're specifically doing it for like plantar fasciitis, see that most collagen powders are type 1 and type 3. Which is like a bovine product from the hides of cows. Type 2 collagen is more from like ground chicken sternums or marine, and you can take a capsule of that, like just a very small amount. I think it's something like 50 milligrams. That specifically might be better for like connective tissue and osteoarthritis and things like that. So sometimes I even do that. So depending upon what your whole protein scheme is, if you want something specifically just for the plantar fasciitis, you might just get away with just taking type 2, which is like you can take a capsule. Or you can do the type 1 and type 3 if you want to do the scoops of protein And there's even some multi-collagen supplements. Dr. Axe has a whole bunch of them. You know, that another guy with the popular YouTube channel. He does multi-collagen supplements where he gives you type 1, 2, 3, 5, and 10. 5 and 10 I wouldn't worry about too much. But you may want to, yeah, I would fool around with it. Don't just do it once and think it's going to do something. You got to get in your system for weeks. So that's my sushi bowl trick. I think I have maybe one more meal. Let me see. Do I have one more? Or was that it? Let's see. Arugula and salad. Did I show you? Yeah, I guess that was it. Okay, that's what we got here. Hey, thanks for showing up. What's your advice for people recovering from stroke? I would like to lose weight by fasting. You know, I wouldn't think the stroke is going to affect the whole fasting thing. Obviously, check with your doctor 100%. I would follow all these same protocols. Sorry about the stroke. I feel sorry about that. I'm not sure how old you are, like what caused the stroke. But I think you can do all these fasting strategies without a doubt. I wouldn't do something too aggressive. I would start off really easy. You can even start off with a 14-hour fast. You know, most people wake up in the middle of the night and eat. Most people graze eat all day. Maybe do a 14-hour fast, 3 meals a day, for a week, see how you feel. Progress to a 16-8, maybe a 16-hour fast, 3 meals a day. For another week, then maybe the third week, do a 16-8 with only 2 meals and 1 snack. Ease into it, experiment, eat good, whole, natural foods. Still, the biggest benefit of fasting in my opinion, is calorie restriction. It's an easy way to reduce calories without necessarily counting calories. Plus, I think there's much more benefit, but that's still a general, like what the studies will tell you more than anything. What's your opinion on keto? That's juice. I think keto's good too. Once again, for me, I think also a good short-term strategy. I personally wouldn't stay in keto for too long. I've done it, stayed in it for a couple of weeks. But I think just dipping in and out of keto from eating a relatively low-carb diet, I think that for me works ideal. Like, for example, if I'm doing 18-6, I probably won't be in ketosis with this Too Mad protein shake. I'm just eating a little too many carbs and my calories are at maintenance. But if I since I generally eat low-carb, 100, 150 grams a day, if I do like a 20-hour fast, so I do an OMAD day, which I typically would do like on a Sunday, those last couple hours, I bet I'm in a mild state of ketosis, like a 0.5 or something. I think that's ideal to go into mild ketosis. Or every now and then, if I just want to I want to lose some weight, I've been eating pretty bad, and I just want to reprogram my brain and become a little bit more fat adapted and all that, I may go into straight up ketosis, maybe only 25 grams of carbs a day for a couple of weeks. I miss it. I don't really enjoy it too much. I like that mental alertness you get from the ketosis, but I think I get that just from doing these 18, 16-hour fast. We refroze it. Oh, you mean you're talking about the white rice? Yeah, that's good. No, yeah, you can slightly warm up the white rice. I guess you wouldn't do that with sushi, but if you want to do it with white potatoes, if that's what you mean, 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃, if you want to take a starch like a white potato, or you want to take white rice and you refrigerate it, or you can even put it in the freezer too, obviously, and then thaw it out, and you can even slightly warm it up a little bit, and you'll still have the resistant starch component to it. Great for white potatoes. Like if you like potato salad, I know people love potato salad. Make it the day before, keep it in the refrigerator overnight, serve it cold the next day. It's going to become part of your resistant starch. Heading to long. Okay, great. Thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it. I'm going to end in a minute anyway, but thanks for showing up. I'm on my 40-hour fast, and I drank a glass of diet, so that's okay. No problem. Okay, Mike, would cold spaghetti be the same as rice as wishful thinking? I'm not sure. Maybe. I haven't seen specific studies on that. They generally talk about more starchy type. That's why they use the term resistant starch, like a potato, like a rice. I'm not sure about pasta, but I'll look into it. I'll let you know next time. All right, guys, so I'm going to hit the road. Once again, this was so much fun. I really appreciate everyone showing up. Gene, thanks for the super chat. This was really, really fun. I love doing this every single Sunday. Let me know if there's any specific topics you want me to cover for the next live stream. We'd love to do that. Jeff, I'm almost 17 hours fasting now, drinking my coffee. Great. Will caffeine affect burning of ketones? Will caffeine affect? Hard to say. I would say if you have a meter, drink some coffee, take some caffeine in. It isn't metabolized in the liver. See if it knocks you out of ketosis. When I used to fool around with that, like when I used to use the blood meter, I would have a cup of coffee, or I would eat a Quest bar. The Quest bars knocked me out of ketosis. They did. They just did, even though they were a low net carb. You got to experiment with that. Okay, thanks. Oh, no, thanks for showing up, Nancy, everyone. I really appreciate it. Maybe do alternate day fasting next stream. That sound. Oh, ADF. That sounds good. I like that. I'll do an alternate day fasting one. I like that. I gotta remember to do that. Let's see. Hey, Christine, this is great. What about coffee to raise? What about coffee to raise? Like, will drinking coffee raise sugar? Well, if you're drinking black coffee, I would probably say I don't think you're gonna get too much of a rise in blood sugar. But once again, the only way to really know, because everyone's so individually different, there's almost no calories in a cup of black coffee, 1 to 2 calories. If you just did it once with a blood meter and you took your blood sugar 45 minutes later and see what happened, that's the only way you're really gonna know. But the quick answer is say I wouldn't worry about the caffeine in the coffee raising blood sugar. I don't think it will much. For me, I'm okay with black coffee. It doesn't really raise my blood sugar. I haven't tested mine in a long time, but I'm pretty good with that. Thanks for showing up. You're a diabetic. I'm sorry about that. I'm assuming you're in a low carb diet. I don't know if you're doing the metformin, which I think is probably a good thing maybe for everyone to take. It's almost like an anti-aging longevity type drug. Berberine, I think it's great. Berberine clears glucose, probably almost as good as metformin. Apple cider vinegar before every meal, a tablespoon, and some water, probably a good idea. But when it comes to being a diabetic, I don't want to say things that are beyond my scope. Definitely check with your doctor with everything. But I do think fasting, low carb eating could be really great for diabetics for sure. Check yourself on coffee. Yeah, no, definitely. I would check yourself and see. Maybe you would qualify, Christina, for a 24-hour glucose monitor. I would 100% recommend you getting that. You can probably get it free through your insurance. I would definitely do that. No question about it. Then you can just test every food. Like if you follow, I'll give you that guy's name because he's on TikTok. Every day he wears his glucose monitor, but he's like a muscle man. He's like a shredded kid in his 30s. He eats a different food, and then he measures the blood sugar spike 2 hours after eating that food. And it's very surprising, like what will spike and what won't. And you can do it, and then your husband or your wife, your partner can do it, and they get a different response. Being a diabetic, I think you will qualify for it, and you should definitely do it. My wife's cousin does it, and I think it really helps her a lot. Right, check yourself on coffee. Since I managed to keep my weight at 250, that's great, Gene. In the last week, I'm not getting back to a very low calorie diet until Labor Day. I think that's great. You needed a diet break. You're doing wonderful. If you can stay at 250 until Labor Day, you're going to hit new time lows this fall and this winter. I'm really excited for you. I think that's great. And I don't think, like I said, you won't even have to go as low as you did in the past. Fantastic, Gene. That's great. Okay, Christina, will do. Thanks for showing up. I think it's your first time here. I appreciate you showing up. That's great. All right, guys, I'm going to roll. This was so much fun. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next Sunday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks again.